Welcome to T4G Sports. Today we're going to talk about a team that I think is going to be an absolute thorn in the side of the SEC. I think that they're going to drive the SEC nuts, personally. I don't know how you can stop this team when they get into their groove. I know there's going to be schools that are going to just be tough as hell to beat. There are several schools out there like Ohio State, Georgia, that no matter what, good luck. I mean, good luck. Have fun beating those schools because they're not going to be easy. But this school there's things building for this school right now. And I think they are getting into a situation that when they find their groove, that groove can be very, very scary. And the team that we're talking about now is the University of Tejas, the Texas Longhorns. So this school is just, I mean, they've been such a weird school for so long that if you just look at Texas as a whole and how they've recruited, and since if we just go to 2015, and one of the big things that we want to do is look at the tea leaves. I really believe there's 3 ways to win a national championship. The first way is to recruit in the top 5 every single year, right? To get a true top 5, not just talking about the overall rank, but a composite rank, but a true top 5 recruiting class every single year. That's what you should do. There's times where there can be exceptions, but you need to at least be close to the top 5 every single year if you really want to have a chance. The next part is transfer portal. Like Deion Sanders, he's very big on the transfer portal. That's where he gets most of his guys from, is the transfer portal. And that can be great, but it can also be difficult because the transfer portal is like the free agency in the NFL. It's going to the highest bidder usually. And so you're going to pay more money for a player that's coming out of the transfer portal than you'll be paying for a player that's coming out of a recruiting class straight out of high school, right? It's that simple. The next part is producing, to find gems, 3 stars, low 4 stars, and to get the best out of them. To just have a very good production system built in play to where you can build up these guys and make them better than what people thought they were. Okay, and that is definitely something that you can do, and that one's the hardest of all. Now, in my opinion, you need to land 2 of the 3. And so why do I think Texas is going to be so scary? Well, 2015, this is before Steve Sarkisian joined the Texas Longhorns. He joined in 2021. He's been a pretty good recruiter since then, but he also had a big benefit because he was going into NIL time. So it's pretty fortunate for him. Now, in 2015, they were 10, right? So this is just to kind of see like the inconsistency of where they've been, because we want to look at the tea leaves, right? So they were 7th in 2016, not too bad. 2017, 25th. So you can see that they've been jumping up and down. They were getting they had issues with coaches as well. That is a definite issue. But you go from 25th to 3rd. And the reason I say you want a top 5 class, because some people may not believe me, but it's true. The reason you want that class is because schools like Georgia, Alabama's been doing that for a long time. We'll see if they can continue with Kalen DeBoer, Ohio State, and some of those other schools. If they're getting top 3 recruiting classes every year, that stacks on each other. And so the difference in talent can be massive. I mean, just night and day, because they could have a really good recruiting class, like Texas could have a 3rd-ranked recruiting class. But what if Georgia and Ohio State have had that 3 years in a row, and you went from 25th the year before to now you went to 3rd? Your backups are not going to be as good as the backups of the other guys, right? So it makes it harder on your team. 2019, they hit 3rd again. So you can see here they started to pick it up a little bit. 2020, they were 9th. Okay, not too terrible. They got Bijan Robinson at that time. 2021, this is when Steve Sarkisian joined the Texas Longhorns. They were 15th. Not great, but still solid production. I would say solid production, not too terrible. Then here's where you start to get into when the NIL pops off, and they end up just doing very well. This is when Texas starts to change. They go to 5th. 2023, they're 3rd. 2024, they've got to be in the top 5 or at least top 6 at this point in 2024. Sometimes this site is a little bit slow. So you can see they were 6th. So you have that. So with the NIL, Texas has one of the best NILs. They're a top 3 NIL program, if not even number 1. They have some deep pockets. There's no doubt about it. They have some very, very deep pockets. There are schools that are closing in on them. I know Ohio State can close in on them. Ohio State has one of the biggest, or they have the biggest fan base of any football team in all of college football. They also have a massive student body. So Ohio State, it's really hard to try and stop Ohio State because the sheer size of the school itself, the alumni, the fan base, they just have a lot of things going for them. The same thing with Georgia. Not with the student body, it's not as big, but they have some deep pockets, relatively competitive pockets as well, and their pipeline is just absolutely mint. It's beautiful. And Texas is right in that mix. Texas can just write some huge checks. I mean, Brandon Baker, this is a guy who was leaning at some point in time. He was leaning towards going to Ohio State, and Texas goes and grabs him. Texas can go in and steal guys away from really good programs. And I also have to say that I don't think it matters about their head coaching staff that much, because even if Steve gets fired, this is going to be one of the hottest seats in the land. I mean, even Dan Lanning, he turns down the job to go to Oregon because he has Phil Knight money. However, Eugene, Oregon is it's not that easy to get to on a plane ride. In my opinion, at least, it's a little bit tougher than flying directly into Columbus or directly into Austin, Texas, some of these other areas. And I don't think that the city's just not as big, right? So it just becomes a little bit more difficult for him. And I think a coach like Dan Lanning would easily take the job at Texas. In fact, I think that it could easily be made a point of how deep their pockets are and what NIL can do. If you got a coach like Nick Saban who came out of retirement and went on a school like Texas with the NIL money that they have, I mean, dear Lord, what would happen with that? I wouldn't even want to watch college football anymore. It'd be that painful. So I think that they're just going to keep buying their way to a championship at some point in time. And I know I heard that about Ohio State, that they said that they buy their way to a championship. And I don't think that's accurate. I think Texas literally is buying their way to a championship. I think you can even show proof of the last 3 years that their recruiting is the best and most consistent that it's ever been since NIL has come out. Obviously, after they won the 2006 Rose Bowl. After that happened, their recruiting was up and down. I mean, Texas is just not the same that they were for so long. And now that NIL comes out, they can just buy their way to a championship team. Ole Miss is another one of those teams. They're just writing checks. I mean, that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to buy their way to a championship. And there's several of these schools that are putting down fat stacks of cash. Oregon's one of them. They're trying to buy their way to a championship. And their recruiting has vastly changed since they have been in the NIL game. So there's that. Now, another thing about Texas that they have going for them is that the state of Texas, is a very valuable pipeline. And the Texas and USC battle in 2006, that was really California versus Texas. That team that Texas had that beat USC was mainly comprised of Texas boys. And so that pipeline is absolutely beautiful. Georgia has a great pipeline as well. There's several schools that have great pipelines, but if Texas can really just hone in on this pipeline and grab more of their top guys, just look at how many guys that they have that are, this is the wrong one. Obviously, I was going to say something's broken here. If we look at the state of Texas, just look at how many talented players they have in this state, right? It's pretty simple. So if you can get a lot of these guys, it's not when you're going to win a championship, or it's not if you're going to win a championship, it is when you're going to win a championship, in my opinion. And I also think this. Right now, times are changing. There's so much excitement for Texas football that there hasn't been for so long because they're joining the SEC. And I think joining the SEC, the national attention that they will get will greatly impact the attention from high-end players. I think that their fan base, I think everybody, the excitement is to go into the SEC and to kick ass. Also, on top of it, you have your younger brother in there, or what you would consider your younger brother. No offense, Texas A&M fans, but I know that's what Texas thinks. Texas thinks Texas A&M's their younger brother. And so they're going in there. They not only now they have to compete with Texas A&M again. They are competing in the SEC, and they have more money than most of them. Almost basically every single one of them, they have more money than them. And so they can just afford everything. And I think that excitement, I think that push, I think it's really going to drive Texas in the next 3 years to a very good spot. And I think that Texas is just going to annoy the hell out of the SEC. I think Georgia's going to have to square up with them quite a bit, and they're going to have to try to shut them down because it's not going to be easy. It is definitely not going to be easy. So with the big pockets that they have, I think there's 3 words to sum it up of why they're going to be annoying. Money, money, and money. So let us know what you guys think down below.